Hello, lads and ladies. Welcome back to Book Wave. Starting off a new series called Bookie Book Book Rant Rant.
It's a running title. It's a work in progress.
Yes, just getting together. It's only the two of us right now, but just talking about what's on our mind, what we've been reading, what we've been watching. So, what do you think, Will? What's on your mind?
I just got in three new books. I got a couple fours. I got the Four Tendencies and the Four Agreements. I haven't cracked into those yet, but I started today, as I was telling you before we started recording, Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, a highly recommended book for a couple years now. I just caved and purchased it in a flurry. I'm already into chapter three. I'm sinking my teeth into it. Seems pretty interesting, and I definitely need to keep reading so that I can get to the core of it, because
Yeah, gotta find
he's
the bread
got,
and butter.
yeah, he's got a good, powerful message, but it leaves me wanting more information and template on how to apply it to my life.
Yeah, how many books has he written? I think it's been a few, eh? Like,
Yeah,
quite a
he's
few.
got a handful. There's like the Earth one. That's as much as I know. The A New Earth, Stillness Speaks, The Power of Now, Guardians of Being, Oneness with All Life, Milton's Secret. That sounds quite interesting, but it might be a child's book. Quite a handful. He's a spiritual teacher, and he is talking about the same thing that ancient religions have been talking about and trying to get close to for thousands of years, which is separation from ego centric view of life, not satisfying cravings and desires, but feeling internal bliss in the moment, the present moment, not being anxious for the future, not carrying the burdens of the past, just being here now. A practice of mindfulness and joy and love, if I could sum it up.
Yeah, he was on the Dave Rubin show a little while ago, talking about meditation and mindfulness and stuff like that. You want a starting point for Eckhart Tolle? That's a good place to start.
Yeah, and I think that's the real answer that the world needs right now is learning how to stop the the rush, the fear-driven run towards unproduction of pointless ends.
Yeah, another good series I've been watching that I've mentioned before, but John Vervaeke's Waking Up from the Meaning Crisis has been pretty useful, I find. He's from the same university as Jordan Peterson, and he's working on this YouTube series. They're all 1 hour episodes. He's on like 27 right now. I think he just released. I
Right?
watched.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
I just watched number 11. I'm a little bit behind, but
I
it's
haven't.
really good. His older videos are called Buddhism and Cognitive Science. A little bit poor video production quality, but it's all good stuff.
Yeah, it seems like all of the great philosophers and thinkers right now are getting to the same place, and it's probably a result or symptom of our current situation. But maybe it's just always been the same problem: is that people need to breathe. They need to let go of triggered emotions and unresolved feelings and just be in the now. I'm excited about the Four Tendencies. That's Gretchen Rubin. I was telling you about it a couple days ago,
Mm-hmm.
and
I took the
it
test online to figure out which tendency I was or whatever.
we should put a link in the description for that, because I
Yeah,
think
we
it's a
will.
cool test, good introduction. It's kind of in the same category as the book I have by Carol Dweck, Mindsets, but it looks like it dives a bit deeper into personalizing it. Because if you're not familiar with mindsets, it's the idea that there's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, and there isn't really any in between. Um, but you can have either. So it's not that you are a fixed mindset person or you're a growth mindset person. It's another limiting belief that sneaks in, like, oh, I can never improve in this sport, or I can never be a good speaker, or I can never learn programming. Those are sort of fixed mindsets that say the brain and the innate talents we're born with are who we are, and we can't grow and push against our boundaries. And it's obviously and quite studied and proven to be false, that when you are set up with all the tools to succeed and have a belief and understanding that failure is step one in growing, that you can move forward and achieve incredible things. Whereas the Four Tendencies kind of talks about how we encourage and discourage ourselves to improve or act. And I'm the rebel, which means I have the hardest time accomplishing anything unless it speaks to me on a very high level of values and purpose, which is good and bad. It means that I am not compelled to do things that are expected of me or that I expect of myself unless I'm speaking to myself in a very plain language or being spoken to in a very penetrative language that hits that deeper inner core, that person that you are when you're born, that you forget about.
Yeah. It's a really useful line of thinking to not necessarily put yourself in a box of like you're a rebel, I'm an obliger, but they are really useful tools to like learn about your own subconscious and how it acts. And these four subdivisions generally make a pretty good start to finding yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I've been up to for the past 7 years since I got out of high school, is just trying to figure out who I am, what I'm doing, and what the easiest and best tools are to get there. And I think like a lot of these mindset and tendencies books are kind of the base ingredients of knowing what you're made up of and how to mix them well so that you can concoct and convert and transmute into something productive and of worth.
Yeah, and just a small example of that is like, since I know that I'm an obliger, one of like the first tips that it gave me when like the first example that it gave me when I finished the test, that said like, hey, if you wanna read more books, then you should join a book club so you're obliged to the other people to read the books on time and stuff like that. I'm like, that's exactly what I did.
Is that seriously what it said? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, this applies to me on a little bit too real of a level. This happened actually.
It's funny because like of the books that we've been reading the past 6 months now, I joined the book club thinking, okay, this isn't for me to push myself to read, but for me to be a part of something that
Yeah, that
allows me
too.
to share that experience. And we're getting to the same end, but the means there is different, and it's only a slight difference, but it's the imperceptible slight degree of shift in the way you view the world that, as you see with a golf swing, makes hundreds of yards of difference on impact.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool because that's what I'm trying to do, right? Like I'm building this life coaching practice, and I'm trying to show people that life can be joyful and bountiful and worth living every day, seizing every moment. And step one is seizing every moment and seeing that life is bountiful and worth living every day. And it's something I've had an existential crisis over for the past 9 months, but I'm getting to a place where I can get out of bed in the morning when I want to, and I go and I hit my yoga mat and I'm at peace with myself, and I stretch my body and I prepare my breakfast and I make my day plan and I go out and I get after it.
Yeah, those routines are so useful.
I gotta tell you though, and you're gonna understand where I'm coming from once you get into part 3 of Atlas Shrugged. I am not feeling like I'm hitting the standards right now for production in my life. I won't spoil any part of part 3 of Atlas Shrugged for you, because in the first 50 pages you'll get exactly what I'm talking about. But man, meaning in your life comes from what you contribute, and not to society, but because you are good at it, you want to be good
Yeah.
at it, and you get a sense of pride, accomplishment, confidence from producing and being a person that can produce. And it's mind altering.
Absolutely. Like just since we've started this whole Bookwave podcast thing, I've done so much just to fix my brain, the way I think, correct my bad habits, and fill them in with better ones, I guess.
Well, yeah, like I'm reading The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Lakhiani, and that's just it. Like we're all societally conditioned. Every day we're conditioning our mind. I like I started looking at my room and my house with feng shui in mind, and realizing that everything that I have that I see or don't see at a subconscious level is being processed or not processed. Everything I listen to is programming me in a certain direction. And for so much of my life, I just played video games and went to school, right? Like at 25 years old, the majority of my life has been playing video games, going to school, and avoiding homework. And
Yeah.
if someone had taught me in kindergarten, like, no, you need to set yourself up to succeed, and what it means to set yourself up to succeed at a very basic level, like right down to the color of paper that you write on.
Yeah. And the color of pen that you use. And
Yeah,
whether you
and
use a pen or a pencil.
it's just all of this crazy and so straightforward when you think about it, this symbolism that it tells you and your brain determines, like Jordan Peterson talks about. You like a lobster, you find out where you are in the hierarchy of society, of success, of production. And I know I went through a phase of altruism that got me to the place where I am board certified to be a life coach, thinking, oh, I want to give back to society. But I knew at some base level that it was about me and my experience and my ability to have a good life and perhaps share those tools and help some other people along the way, not because I wanted to help them, but because I wanted to help. And it wasn't their benefit that I was seeking, but my benefit to myself of being useful, and not just a platitude of pull your socks up and shut up, nobody cares, work harder, but like actually having the tools and being able to share the tools that are effective. But it all comes down to routine and community. And thank God for you, Scott. Thank God every day, because this has been the biggest schedule of my life for the past couple of years. After quitting that lovely factory that we met in,
Oh,
I
yeah.
lost all routine, man, with my back injury. This past year has just been so rough. It's been a really good blessing to have a book club and to be able to say, no, I need to do this so that I can do that. Because once this is done, I'll be able to do that.
Yeah. And I love seeing all of the overlap and all of these teachers and podcasters and authors that we're learning from. Like with the four tendencies and how it relates to the kind of stuff that Jordan Peterson has been talking about. I really feel like Jordan Peterson's message has been targeted to like my group of obligers without him even being aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's really interesting how, like, the more you read, the more you play, the more you watch, and the more you start to understand, you realize there's only so many things that mediums can really teach you, and that the message is just being transmuted into different art forms. But it's all trying to get to the same point. But for some reason, there's these imaginary divides between schools of thinking, and it's like, no, stop. You just need to breathe and be happy and move forward.
Yeah. And there's lots of tools for to find that end.
Yeah.
A specific tool that I find really helpful is always be a beginner. Like never let yourself convince yourself of being an expert of anything.
Yeah, the beginner's mind frame is huge
Yeah. And
and humbling.
if you find yourself struggling with that kind of stuff, then pick up a new hobby that you've never attempted before.
Yes, and it's such a breath of fresh air too. Starting something you literally have no expectation of yourself to perform well in, and it's just simply, I'm going to fail at this for the next 20 days, and by the end of it, I will have accomplished something.
Exactly. And you might surprise yourself by the end of it too. Like I started writing recently and it's been unreal how rewarding I found it to be.
Well, I remember reading there was this study somewhere, 99% or 90% of people give up new hobbies before the end of 20 hours being put into it.
Oh, damn.
So growing up, I'm sure you've heard the statistic that it takes 10,000 hours to become a master of something.
Oh yeah.
And so I've always, in my mind, it's like I need to put 10,000 hours into this to become a master of it. And it's just debilitating. Like the notion that you have to put 5 years of 40-hour weeks into this thing, and also you have a 40-hour job. It's like, okay, well, don't even try. Just give up now, because 10,000 hours is never going to happen. But when you flip it around and you say 90% of people give up before the first 20 hours, now all of a sudden your threshold for success is somewhere between 20 hours and 10,000 hours exist all of the people that are making a living on any given skill.
Yeah, and you can fit anywhere in that scale. Between
Right.
21 hours and, 10,000 minus 1.
So it's like all of a sudden it's not, I need 10,000 hours to be able to do something with this. It's like, no, I need 25 hours to get to a place where I can start doing something with this. And then when I'm doing something with it, that's putting more hours into it. And I don't need to worry about the hours. It's just get through the first 3 weeks and put an hour in every day and then see what you think. And it's okay to stop if you're not satisfied with it. If it doesn't resonate with you after 21 hours, stop. But don't say you don't like it if you haven't put 20 hours into it.
Exactly. And another thing, I always encourage people to learn a new instrument whenever I can, because that's been with me since high school. So,
What instruments do you play?
guitar, bass. I messed around with harmonica for a little bit back in the day, but nowadays it's mostly just guitar. A little bit
Do you
of singing.
prefer the bass or the standard six string?
I used to prefer bass for sure. Like in a band setting when I was playing like punk and hardcore and metal, I was more into bass, but these days I've just been playing with my acoustic guitar.
Well, it's all chords on bass guitar, right? When you first start into bass, it's all chords, not so much bar chords, right?
Well, it's just single notes and
Yeah.
scales with bass.
Yeah, so like going from bass to acoustic guitar and being able to just bar and
Yeah.
strum, that must be a vacation.
Yeah. Well, I like both, so.
Absolutely. I admire both the noises of those instruments. I need to put more time into guitar. I've had such a hard time getting consistent. Learning an instrument, learning a language, those are my goals for this year.
Yeah.
And it's just been such, like I said, this existential struggle of trying to get my life coaching business together and doing this podcast and studying my programming course online and managing my father's properties. That's my life right now. And I got married 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Got a lot going on over there, Will.
I have packed a lot of production into these first 6.5 months of this year, but it's really time to double down and turn it into something beautiful. I'm great at starting, but it's the follow through that this book club has shown me I'm capable of, first of all. And second of all, it's worth doing.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't care if we get 1 million views or a millionth of a cent. I am so satisfied with what we're creating right now.
100%, dude. Just the sense of community. One person watches and drops a comment saying that they found a little bit of use from this, or they found out about a book that they want to read, then my job is done.
Yeah. Like and I've also noticed the benefit that I'm not spending as much time craving social interaction and trying to satisfy that craving through watching other podcasts on YouTube. Now I'm able to say, oh, there's a new Jocko Willing podcast. I'll watch that this week. It's not, what am I going to do? I have no friends. I have no social life. I have no career. I need human interaction. And you sit there and you binge 8 hours of podcasts. It's like I'm a part of a podcast. I'm a part of a community.
Yeah, just having just weekly meetings or consistent videos. We just talk to somebody, finding a community. That's the
Yeah,
key.
you
That's
need your tribe.
that's part of the secret to the meaning of life right there.
It,
You need your tribe and you need your guiding principles.
and it is okay if your tribe is two people big, because two people can pick things up from either side and carry a couch across a mountain.
Absolutely. You can do twice as much with two people than you can with one.
sometimes even more than twice as much, which is the real cool part. Like, it's amazing. I know Jordan Peterson talks about it in his videos. I don't know if it's in his book, but he talks about just how unproductive we are and how much of our time isn't spent
Yeah.
improving, and you don't even know how productive you can get. And the minute you add one resource, it's like, oh wow, that wasn't the small impact on my life I was expecting it to be. That was revolutionary. And it's like, now how much more revolutionary can it get?
Yeah, and it's not just that you're objectively wasting time. If you ask someone, how much time do you waste in a day by your own definition? They'll tell you, oh, probably about more than 51%. And then, well, if that's by your own definition, then it's an easy first step to stop wasting that time. Stop doing things that you know aren't going to benefit you in the future.
Yeah. And the other thing too is maybe your definition is completely wrong. And if you only live in a vacuum where you have no way to compare, and like, I understand you need to be competing with who you were yesterday, today, and you don't need to worry about outside parties. But let me tell you, there are standard rules and procedures that when you look at it, you can say, oh, maybe I shouldn't consider eating food wasting time.
Yeah.
Maybe when I'm meditating or reading or checking in with myself or taking the time to actually present myself to the world in a fashion that I feel respected and respectable, that's not a waste of time. And don't get me wrong, you're still probably wasting a ton of time, but we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. Well, let's take a little break, little mid-roll break.
Beep, beep, beep.
Do 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 do.
Ba, da, 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 ba, ba, da, ba, da, ba, ba, da, da, ba, da, ba, ba, brrr, ba.
Beautiful.
And we're back.
So I've been reading The Sandman a lot,
Like the comic book?
the comic book by Neil Gaiman.
Really?
Yeah, it's really, really good. I've been on a huge Neil Gaiman kick lately. And I'm holding in my hand right now volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the trade paperbacks, as well as Endless Nights. I've read them all. I'm on to the next issues right now.
How are you finding that?
It's just like a lot of added perspective. Like I always say, perspective is key. And when I read a guy like Neil Gaiman, who's like so into mythology and just the phenomenon of the unknown and the supernatural and the way he explains away all of this stuff, it's really incredible. And if you're unfamiliar with the Sandman, it follows a family of, they're not quite gods, they're not quite deities or saints or anything like that. They're just like just pieces of the universe, I guess, but they're just manifested in the form of this family, like brothers and sisters. And it follows the main character, Morpheus, who's also named Dream, who's also named the Sandman.
Right.
And it's a cross between like a comic book lover's comic, just like with cross references to the entirety of the DC universe, and you have John Constantine show up and talks about Batman and the Justice League of America and stuff like that. But it's also like it really touches on a lot of mythology and spiritual stuff. Like he creates the world that you go to when you go to sleep at night. And it's really beautiful and poetic. And you can't really do it justice by just describing it, cuz like it's Shakespearean at some points, and he combines it with ancient Greece.
Now, you wouldn't happen to be reading this right now at this specific point in history because Netflix is thinking about turning it into a TV series, are you?
I actually just heard about that like 2 days ago, and I'm like, why would they do that? Like I started reading Sandman a while ago, but I had no idea that they were making a.
Yeah, they've been shopping around for 6 years, it looks like. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was going to be working on it, but he left after a few years with creative differences. But now Netflix has jumped on it straight to
Huh.
series.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that. And I mean that in the same way that like I still haven't watched the Death Note Netflix adaptation, and I
Don't,
refuse to watch it
don't watch it. It's so bad.
because like I
It's so bad.
there's just no way that I think that they can do it properly.
Well,
Like I mean,
the
Neil Gaiman is an expert in the medium of comics. I'm gonna say that right now, and he's also an expert in the medium of just regular novels too. And I think this was the perfect way to present Sandman. I don't think he could have done it in a
let
novel
me
form as well as he
let
did
me
in
give you
this.
faith. Let me give you faith in this because Neil Gaiman is A, an executive producer, and
Yeah, I knew
B,
that.
he's teamed up with David Goyer, who directed, produced, and wrote Blade, Trinity,
Okay.
and he's done things like Pet Cemetery 2,
Oh.
like he did the whole Blade trilogy. He did Ghost Rider, The Dark Knight, Man of Steel, The Dark Knight Rises, both the Ghost Riders. So like he's got an impressive lineup of comic book production just in movies. Hey, the
Hey,
man.
Synapsian's here. How's it going, man?
Slide, slide into class late.
Welcome, sir. Only 1% off your final mark for attendance.
Yes.
We're just
Allegedly.
talking about books, life, the meaning of existence, and things like that. And it's just kind of open dialogue. And we're glad to have you here because we were going back and forth, and it'll be nice to have a third party to chip in.
Yeah, what's on your
What were you
mind, man?
guys? What were you guys going back and forth on?
We were talking about the power of now, Eckhart Tolle, and just kind of the similar notions of teachings that we're getting these days from people like Jordan Peterson and the like, and just the whole idea of slowing down and breathing in the moment and being able to not be anxious or depressed about anything that's to come or has passed and seizing the day and producing value for your own merit.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky balance. Wanting to slow down, but at the same busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like last year, I kind of things a little too slow, and I had my annual work performance review, and that was one of the things that came up. I wasn't hitting my numbers, and I got dinged on a couple things. So recently, I've been super busy.
And what have you been up to, man? You've been a ghost. How has everything been going? I hope it's been going well.
Yeah, it's going. I recently moved out to Canyon Lake from my previous apartment in the city. And so now I'm living out here on 5 acres. I got like the Guadalupe River right in my backyard. Not literally, but it's like 5 minutes away.
Really?
We got this huge lake. Um, just kind of been getting settled. I've been
Nice.
making like walking trails out here in my backyard.
What's the situation? Because 5 acres is a great amount of land. Are you with people? Are you with family? That sounds like an awesome opportunity.
So my wife has a friend and she owns the land and the property. She like has this, I guess, a mobile home, but she added like an attached apartment to it, and it's like, 2x4s in the walls, all sealed up, so that's soundproof. Then we have like a wooden deck outside that wraps around the house. We still got the two dogs, so we kind of pay her to like we basically rent from her.
Right on. That's a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, and so it's a little more affordable than from like a corporate apartment complex.
Right on, man.
So trying to save a little money.
Very
With
good.
that money that I've saved, I invested some of it and I bought two inflatable kayaks, like really good quality ones off Craigslist. I got two of them for $75. These are ones that
Wow.
like retail for. I got a hard shell kayak. So I'm out here meeting new people and playing in the river,
Very nice.
Right on,
enjoying
man.
nature. How about
Sounds
you guys?
great.
I know I've been a ghost. I haven't been like sitting here twiddling my thumbs. I've just been super busy.
Yeah, I'd expect so. I've been well. I'm still getting my life coaching business together, trying to rustle up clients, but working at it as consistently as one can expect. And I'm taking this course online. I was just saying to Scott, doing programming, Android app development, and then also managing all of the properties my father owns. And I got married 4 weeks ago. So that's my life this year.
Whoa. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been married for like 4 years now at this point.
Oh, wow.
Every day is a crossroads, unrelated to just in general, every day is a crossroads.
How long have you been with your wife prior to marriage?
We were together for like 10 years, and I don't know if you guys ever heard that quote by Jordan Peterson where he talks about people who were together for a long time never ended up getting married.
I don't think so, no.
I think it was in the biblical series, and he basically was going like, what exactly are you telling that person that you're with, but don't get married to them? It's kind of, are you saying, well, I don't want to get married as maybe I'll find somebody else? But that wasn't really the case.
Sometimes it's
Right.
just, hey, we're too broke and can't really afford it right now.
Yeah, exactly. And for that 10 years, it was kind of difficult because her her parents didn't really approve of us being together unmarried. So
Oh,
there was
really?
always, yeah, it was like always a thing in the background where they didn't like invite us over for, family functions and stuff. We were kind of like the black sheep.
That's awful, man.
Yeah, I've been there before.
Yeah, and then after we got married, it's like totally 180. They love me and everything. I guess conditional love, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. I get it. When you come from your generation, it's just that badge of honor and respect and commitment, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, her parents are baby boomers, and
Yeah.
then we're like, I guess, millennials.
Yeah.
How old are you, Synapsian?
I was born in '82.
Okay.
Oh. So you're the oldest
Actually, my
one of the
birthday's
bunch.
coming up. Am I?
Yeah, I was born in 92, so.
My birthday's coming up. I'm gonna be 37.
When's your birthday?
Sunday, July 28th.
Oh, wow, that's really soon.
Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
So, can we expect to see your friendly face in these channels some more frequently, doing some filming and recording and talking about books and reading books?
I would hope so. I do have a friendly face in my photo. Look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
exactly.
do.
So that photo was taken in New York City at a beer garden with a bunch of friends. So I was very happy.
Nice.
I had like one of those Boston news cap hats on and like I guess a green scarf over my.
Yeah, you can see me with my Django Fett helmet on there.
Yeah, I'm a fan of my profile picture. You know, I've always felt that my face was sort of shaped like a video game controller.
Yeah. Kind of felt that way when I met you, too.
So you guys are like local. You live in the same city or province?
Oh, we used to.
Yeah, same province. We're both in Ontario. He was in my neck of the woods for a while, but he couldn't hack it down in the small town.
Yeah, that was a rough point in my life. Had nothing to do with the city, but
You can blame it on us. It's okay. We can take it. This little village is used to it.
no, man, I love that town. I'm not gonna name it because once you show up there, you can see the only two houses there, and you'll know that one of them is yours. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I used to live in the other house, but I had to leave.
Yeah, and then it was a coworker of ours that took over your apartment. Actually, did you know that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that apartment is literally just like a refuge for the poor, mistreated factory workers of this tiny little town.
Yeah, I guess.
And let me tell you, because I don't know if you know this, Synapsian, but Scott and I, Rugmo, however you want to refer to him, we're reading Atlas Shrugged, and it's very anti-communist. And I'm pretty certain that there are some moral ideals from the communist agenda that I'm reading about that were employed in the factory that we worked in. Let me tell you.
What
Yeah.
kind of factory do you?
It was just a feeder plant for Big Auto, so it was just kind of basic processes making hinge technology for cars in mass production.
I spent all day watching a machine bend torque rods. That was it. And repairing my machine once in a while.
Like run of the mill, watch the machine make the part, take the part, look at the part, put the part down, repeat. 8 hours.
Quality control.
I have read Atlas Shrugs. I want to say that there's like a Netflix film.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. 3 parts. Atlas Shrugged. Probably the worst movie rendition of a book I've ever witnessed. I watched the first part. It spoiled the third part, and I unsubscribed immediately.
Okay, yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh, I heard good things about this.
The book is 1,100 pages of solid gold, let me tell you. And the movie is so far removed from it. Like, it's like if you just took the most stupid parts and then a couple highlights and then jammed them together and you were in kindergarten and then somehow it got on Netflix.
Jeez.
It's so bad. I don't know how anyone produced it. I couldn't imagine.
Doesn't that book Atlas Shrugged get a lot of flack from, I guess, Democratic?
I'd say yes, and also from Republicans. Like it like the conservatives aren't happy with it, and I'm conflicted by it. Like we're into the third part now, and I both love and am confused by it. And I think I agree with it, but I'll let you know in 350 more pages.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to it that I agree with it and have drawn from it. And there's quite a bit that's like, well, that's going a little bit too far. I think that's where the Republicans might say that, like, hey, we can't just live in the Atlas Shrugged world that Ayn Rand wants. Because, that's just the end of our beautiful republic. And then Democrats might say, I don't know what they might say.
The topic in there is like capitalism.
So it's the United States in the 30s, and it is the antagonists run a transcontinental train company, and the sister is really the capitalist that's pushing the train business into the 20th century and doing her best to make it succeed, while the brother, who's the president, he took over from their father, has this communist agenda and is working with a very large group of influential Washington individuals to completely destroy capitalism and create a communist country as the rest of the world goes into communism. And so you see this underground railroad of anti-communist individuals doing their very best to save the world from the starving communist future.
And hello, PatMan.
Hey.
Yo.
Never late than never. Never late than never?
Yo.
Better late than never.
Yep. Better late than ever.
I thought it started at 2. Or was I
It did.
2 Eastern time.
2 p.m. Eastern.
2 Eastern time. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
In Canada, you guys have a democratic socialist government, or is that completely off the target?
Oh, no, it's pretty socialist up here.
Is it?
I mean, it's not socialist in the way that, like, some of you guys are worried about becoming, but it's compared to the States, I'd say it's pretty socialist. I think we're a weird, like, mix between European politics and American politics.
We've got a lot of outraged people, and we've got some serious camps for both liberals and conservatives. We've got
Absolutely.
a very, very divided opinion about welfare and healthcare, and we seem to be doing okay. We got a lot of trees.
Do you guys have the
Do we have the what?
Antifa?
I think in the cities, there's definitely groups of people that think that they're sworn to some sort of allegiance. I don't think we have as much of an Antifa presence as I would say is considered Antifa, but we've got communists.
Not a violent one, but we have active vocal communists that aren't afraid to say they're communists.
which is very
Yeah.
weird.
We
They're
also
not like spraying bear makeup in
we
people's
also
faces.
have like a Muslim party of Ontario, or like an Islamic party of Ontario, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, we're a melting pot. We're a real mixed batch. We don't really know what we're doing, and apparently it feels like you're in a different country if you're on the East Coast versus the West Coast. A
Yeah,
lot more.
I've only ever visited Quebec outside of Ontario, and that feels like a different country. They don't even
Oh,
speak
well,
the same language.
yeah, that's a whole separate note. Like, honestly, Quebec is a weird one. And then of course we have this huge Native American population, and we just held our first set of political conversations with I think the premiers of all of the provinces on a native reserve, working with Native Americans to get the country going in the right direction. But there's just such large disparities between all of these poorly represented and poorly treated communities that it's a lot of past problems that are slowing down our future progress, and older people in politics that are trying to make their friends happy, and young millennials freaking out in the streets or getting drunk in the clubs.
Yeah, well, everything's so connected now. Freaked out, but I remember growing up and kind of considering myself an anarchist, I would say. And then now that I'm like going to be 37, I have kind of gone a complete one, like realize the importance of hierarchy and systems that are in place, even if I think they're not 100% good. I don't also think they're 100% bad.
Yeah, I remember when I was coming out of university, I thought I was a liberal, and
Yeah.
I was responsible for helping Justin Trudeau, our current prime minister, get into office. And I think it took about 3 days for me to realize I was conservative after that. And I know now that I'm sort of somewhere in the center, but maybe there's a sphere of political leanings that I'm actually maybe a few degrees away from that center line of just left and right. And I think we need a better system, but that we'd have certainly not created that better system.
Yeah, we need a better system for sure, but I can definitely relate to both of those stories. I definitely considered myself more of an anarchist back in high school, and then more of a center leftist. Then now I'm more center right, libertarian, soft L libertarian, I guess.
There's so many labels. It's funny.
Yeah.
Well, like our current political,
I say we need a balance. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same as you
kind
guys.
of like the yin yang.
Seems like it pushes people out of the middle.
Yeah. I hear you there, Synapsian. There's definitely a demonization that I see of people in the middle. Like, pick a side already. Like, why is being a moderate such a bad thing?
I think it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just when you get these moderates in the middle that are, when you try and get them down and write good policy, that they become a little wishy-washy, because you've got moderates of so many different pieces of cloth that they don't actually want to be moderate in the same way.
Well, maybe I'm not asking for a moderate to be writing the laws per se, but at least be the ones influencing the decisions whether or not they become laws, and more people in general, like voting public, to be moderates and just be able to look at both sides instead of joining a team.
And that's how it's supposed to be, right? Like that's
Mhm.
democracy at its core, is that you don't necessarily always swing left. Sometimes the situation requires a right swing, but when it becomes this great divide that the left is the left and the left is right and the right is the right and the right is right, is just, it's not what it's supposed to be. There has to be healthy discourse between both sides, and you need to be able to recognize what the context demands. And I think that a lot of people on social media want to just identify with their political party of choice to the
Yeah.
death, and that's who they are, and they are as deep as the word liberal or conservative, and there's nothing to their character beyond it.
And I think one of the important steps is saying, like, hey, don't think of Justin Trudeau as a liberal. Think of him as, like, what he is, what he's accomplished. No political experience. He was a drama teacher. and he's a social justice activist. And on the other
And he's
side,
arrogant.
yeah, and on the other side you have Andrew Scheer, like, who's that guy? A puppet of the dairy industry. That's
Yeah.
basically it.
Yeah. And honestly, it's just it is enraging, you know, when you see Justin Trudeau say things that you can tell he's only saying because this is the facade of being a social justice warrior, that he thinks this is the right way to be and what's expected of him. And it's like, it just seems so algorithmically generated by social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Social media has poisoned the political landscape. I mean,
Deleting Facebook was the best choice I made this year.
I need to do that. I never like post anything or even go on it, but I should probably delete.
That's how it starts. That's a good warm up. And then you'll get to the point where you realize maybe this is subconsciously influencing my opinions about people and interactions, and it's not even fucking real. Pardon my language.
like, I don't like to post on Facebook. I go there for the memes, and I use the Messenger app just because that's the easiest way to talk to my crew around here.
But I heard you can keep the Messenger app even if you delete Facebook account.
You can. I went with the hard delete though.
Okay.
I accepted that if they can't track me down, then maybe they're not worth the effort.
But you still have Instagram, and they're owned by Facebook, so.
Yeah, that's going, man. It's on its way out.
I don't do the Instagram either.
Instagram is, of course, my guilty pleasure because it's how I talk to people. I don't post on it. I don't even talk to that many people, and it's gonna be getting deleted in the before the end of the year. There's just no point.
You lurking that booty?
Yeah. Again, I go there for the memes, and you literally, you're scrolling through all these stupid freaking photos trying to find some sort of semblance of meaning, and then you realize after 2 hours that there isn't any, and you should have just been reading that whole time.
For sure.
Yeah, the trick is to find the activities that you do that you never regret.
Yeah.
When you read a book for an hour, you're never like, ah, shit. Why wasn't I doing this for that hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, reading's such a simple pleasure. It's like stepping into an adventure that's safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like being able to experience different perspectives without having to deal with individuals. That's the blessing reading gives me. I can be angry at James Taggart in Atlas Shrugged for 5 minutes, and then it's gone, and he's stuck in that book on that page, and he's not affecting me anymore.
So I just stepped into my meditation room, which is an upgrade from my apartment. Previously had just a little like nook, and now I have a whole room, like a small yoga mat, a Bosu ball,
Nice.
couch.
Yeah. Very nice.
I'm like, I guess I call her she's really my, she's like left for the week. I have the house, me and my wife and our dog.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a 15-year-old golden Labrador.
Oh, very nice.
And like a 13-year-old Australian Kelpie.
Oh.
And right now I'm kind of dealing with something that's, everyone's got to deal with it. My oldest dog has degenerative neuropathy in her back leg, slowly losing her ability to walk.
Oh dear.
And otherwise, she's healthy and still wants to live a meaningful life. And I guess to a dog that means like chewing on bones and digging up stuff outside, but her legs just really can't keep up. And she's 15.
Yeah,
so
that's old.
for the last 6 months, we've been deciding what we're gonna do, and it's kind of getting down to the last bit, planning, making arrangements with the vet. We have dug a grave 3 feet, and that was hard work.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah,
we're gonna take her to the vet, have the procedure done, and it's supposed to be painless. And then we're gonna bring her back and have like a ceremony burial. So hopefully we'll try to make it beautiful. And every time I like think about it, like I used to just like start crying, like thinking about it. I couldn't even talk about it. Here I am outlining my plan without any hesitation. So it's getting easier.
Yeah, that's hard, man. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's something we all gotta, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless
Yeah.
you don't have a dog or if you like try to insulate yourself this world alive.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean like I'm not trying to be like pessimistic or anything. That's just how it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So that's what I was saying earlier. Like every day is a crossroads. Like you gotta cherish like soul that's in this body for a little bit.
Just cherish life.
With the
What about you, PatMan? What's going on?
Well, besides working 50 to 60 hours a week, I've been working on my home studio. I told Rugmo that I bought some sound panels to get rid of the echoes because I'm doing some recording, putting that all together. And this month in reading has been really slow. Writing my novel has been really slow. Honestly, it's been a depressing month.
It's the dog days.
Trying to eat healthy and all that.
Yeah, July's rough, especially for a man, you know. You're in heat. You gotta remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta keep your
Everything's
balls
big in
cooled off.
Texas. Exactly. Well, since I wasn't here for the last hour or so, I was just kind of curious about what you guys were reading, and I told Rugmo that I've been reading 2 books right now. One of them's called The Lucifer Effect: Understanding How Good People Turn Evil by Dr. Philip Zimbardo. And the other one is called You Have the Right to Remain Innocent by James Dunn.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why, but I started going back and reading Haruki Murakami's novel Colorless Sukari Tazaki and His Years of Pilgrimage, and that is just, holy shit, that's depressing.
Oh, God.
I mean the depictions that Murakami writes, and I'm not putting him down or anything like that. I mean, his writing, his prose is so beautifully written. He has very clear descriptions about everything. I mean, he can write about a house, a suburb in Tokyo or in Kyoto, or a record shop for like 10 pages, and you'll still be mesmerized by every detail. I give him credit for it. But this one, his recurring themes are alienation, loneliness, and how it's all seen through the eyes of the main character. Specifically, the main title character is Sakaru Tazaki. And he's trying to figure out why his best friends from high school abandoned him without
Yeesh.
any explanation. And he's trying to figure out where they are now today and what they're currently going through right now. And it's so fucking sad.
Is it because they
So
voted for the
hard.
wrong political candidate? Because that's why people are abandoning each other nowadays.
Well, the thing is, Murakami mentions the counterculture in Japan. So, and he briefly discusses that, but it's entirely something else. It's not political or anything like that.
Yeah, I stopped asking the question as to what happened to all my high school friends a couple years ago when I realized I just don't care.
But actually, going back to the political discussions, I found one quote in the Lucifer Effect that clearly states how people can create this imagery about who the quote unquote enemy is. Like how the control left sees the far right, or the far right sees the control left. And I highlighted a quote from the book as Philip Zimbardo mentioned the psychological effects of how evil works. So the quote is, and this is a section where he talks about how people create the enemy, so to speak. It says, it requires a hostile imagination a psychological construction embedded deeply in their minds by propaganda that transforms those others into the, quote, enemy. That image is a soldier's most powerful motive, one that loads his rifle with ammunition of hate and fear. And then there's another one that's been highlighted a bunch of times. It says, with public fear notched up and the enemy threat imminent, reasonable people act irrationally, independent people act in mindless conformity, and peaceful people act as warriors. That
Huh.
quote, those two quotes stuck out to me. And that was really interesting.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
he also
deep.
and he also brings up his he's also well known for developing a social experiment called the Stanford Prison Experiment that was done in the early 70s at Stanford.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched a couple documentaries.
They even adapted it into a movie that came out a few years ago. And he brings
So-
up sections of his social experiment in the book as well.
Did he
Okay.
like hint at what the seed of evil behavior was? If you guys had to say like a feeling you had that could lead to being evil, or if you could see yourself being evil, like what would that feeling be in its most simple form? Resent.
Well, so far in the chapters that I've read where he has worked on the prison experiment, they suddenly have this lost feeling of being who they were prior to the experiment starting. In fact, it was supposed to last for about 2 weeks, but then all the prisoners started to feel depressed. They were fatigued. They were suffering from insomnia, and one person opted out of the experiment because
He was having a mental
driven
breakdown,
insane.
right?
Yeah, he had a mental breakdown because of it, and it just happened in one day, too. So as soon as the prisoners and the guards step into this role, they slowly but gradually lose everything that they were prior to just stepping into the shoes of a prisoner or a guard. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like what actors do when they prepare for a role in a movie. They forget about their own original life in order to fully develop the mindset of a fictional character.
Yeah, I remember watching that documentary. I watched one of the earlier documentaries before it became a Netflix movie, but it was just horrifying what they were putting these prisoners up to. Like the flip of a coin turned a volunteer into a prisoner or a guard, and they just assumed these roles, not just the guards, but the prisoners. The prisoners became prisoners, pathetic and destructive and non-conforming and non-cooperative, and the guards became these vile beasts, just seemingly based on context.
And they also have done these multiple unisons where they would repeat their prison numbers. They would do push-ups, sit-ups. They would say lines. They would sing for the guards, all in unison multiple times, to the point where they just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah. It was an eye-opening thing to hear about. The book sounds really interesting, though, because it's like 30 years of research into those factors that cause someone to act so immoral. And that's interesting. I'll have to pick up a copy.
He also mentions other historical events that happened, like the Rwanda massacre, the events that happened in the Iraq War,
Right.
and other examples.
I think what's significant about that is it shows it doesn't take much to really push somebody over the edge. You know, if you're not getting your basic needs met, like eating right and sleeping, stressed
Yeah.
out, you can easily be pushed to do something that you would otherwise only a monster would.
Yeah, that's why we were talking about this earlier in the video. We were talking about like you need your tribe and you need your guiding principles. Because those are the two things that wouldn't let you commit such atrocities.
Yeah.
And the other book that I'm reading, You Have the Right to Remain Innocent, has been inspired by a video by a law professor who explained why you should not talk to the police.
I saw that video.
Something has happened.
That was a good video.
Yeah, and he goes into more detail about it in his book here, and it's just the way he describes the legal system, specifically here in America, is really imperfect.
So this brings up a question that I've heard somebody else mention, like all cops are pigs. There's no good cop. But when I think about when people say stuff like that, do they have the viewpoint that there are no good laws as well? Aren't the police just trying to enforce the law?
I think the video is really worth watching, Synapsian, because there's a lawyer that makes the point, and then a police officer makes the point, and the police officer, the first thing out of his mouth is, "I agree entirely with what this man says. My job is to prosecute you. You don't know, and I don't know just how many laws and bylaws and policies that we have in place, so that anything you say can be documented and sent to a team, and they will cross-reference every single possible avenue to prosecute you. It is not about finding justice at that point. It is about proving your guilt. And the minute you start talking, you start digging a hole under your own feet."
And the only time that you are allowed to talk to the police is during the present moment. When they ask you, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Those questions are fine, but if they talk in the past tense, then you should be aware of what they are going to.
I had this encounter with some border patrol agents, which are federal agents. The situation was I was driving across a checkpoint, which is like 100 miles from the border here in Texas. They're just looking for undocumented immigrants and things like that. But I had some cannabis with me. And so the dog, found that really quickly, and they arrested me. And they asked me, what is this? And I was like, that's a rental car, and that's not mine. And they held me for a bit, for a couple hours. They held me, and then they allowed me to sign an affidavit that said that was not my possession, and they let me go.
Wow.
Even though they could have easily just charged me with it.
Yeah, you got lucky there.
I was just gonna say I'm still considered a mule, I guess, because anytime I cross an international border, I pull up as a flagged person. I have to
Really?
talk to a supervisor.
Good God. Just a black mark on your permanent record, eh?
I guess once a mule, always a mule.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
I also found something really absurd, but really true. There's a passage in the book where the author talks about some of the clumsy laws written in state legislators that say that it is a crime to hunt, trap, take, capture, possess, kill, transport, import, or export any kind of wildlife, except if it's permitted by law otherwise. So if you kill or possess a wild animal, that's considered a crime. But the absurd thing about it is you are guilty of a crime as long as you merely, quote, possess any part of anything of a wild animal.
So like a rabbit's foot.
Like a rabbit's foot, like a seashell, or even a shark's tooth and a necklace. Like you give it to your granddaughter as a present.
Wow.
In fact, this happened to one individual in Virginia who violated the law and was arrested simply for carrying this necklace, the shark tooth. And he was found guilty under the crime of Virginia. And there's a highlighted part of the book that says, because of laws like these and countless others, legal experts now agree that just about everybody in the nation, whether they know it or not, is guilty of numerous felonies for which they could be prosecuted. One reliable estimate is that the average American now commits approximately 3 felonies a day.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I've heard that stick.
I think I committed more crimes than that.
Yeah.
I used to break the law every day, but cannabis is legal up here now.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever committed any crimes. In fact, I will publicly say that I have never committed any crimes. I don't know about you guys.
Knowingly.
I have not committed a crime. I have not committed a crime yet. That could happen at some point.
I have no plans to.
I've probably committed a felony just for reading that passage.
Oh, you guys in the States and your sticky policies, I tell you.
I know.
Dude, here in Texas, I got a $250 ticket for not wearing a belt. I mean, that's not like a federal thing, but
See, that makes sense, because if you get in an accident and you go flying out your windshield and land in oncoming traffic, and then that guy swerves to get out of the way of you to save your life, you not wearing a seatbelt has jeopardized the life and safety of other drivers. That one, clean and clear. I'm on board with that.
I get that. But like, what happens if a motorcyclist has an accident and flies into the air?
The exception proves the rule.
That's why their insurance is more expensive.
Different
Is it?
insurance
Point.
policies.
Is it? Is it more expensive?
No, it is. It is. I used to have a motorcycle. I'm considering getting my license because they have this thing here called the Twisted Road. You can rent other people's bikes. But you gotta have a license. So I'm considering getting one and then rent a bike.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. There's this book. I don't know if you guys caught this during the premiere, the Naval Ravi Kant wave earlier today. He mentioned a book that he recommended was Skin in the Game by Nassim Nicholas. So I posted it in Akira's book club. I don't know anything about it, but it sounds pretty cool. It's called The Hidden Asymmetries in Daily Life.
Sounds interesting.
I think I've seen it somewhere before.
So did you guys upgrade your recording equipment? I saw Rugmo, you posted something.
Yeah, I got
You
a
got a
nice
pretty
little
good setup?
microphone. Got a nice little microphone set up now. Will's got a
Kinda-
snowball.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with the mic. I just, my mom's got a few different recording microphones because she does a lot of recording and videos. So I just bummed one of her cheaper ones. I think it's better.
Yeah, you guys got good quality. Sounds like radio quality.
That's great to hear.
Oh,
Huh.
yeah.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
I found a microphone that's good for narrating audiobooks.
The only problem with you, Pat, is it seems like you are on a computer that is situated directly at the bottom of a well.
I'm on my phone.
Get out of
I'm
the
also
well.
doing-
Get out of the well.
That might be a while.
I'm stuck down here, boys.
Well. Yeah, I think we're actually going to move into the next medium, the logical next step of videography and video podcasts in the nearby future.
Yeah, I do have a webcam right now, but my lighting situation is questionable.
Would
As soon as
this
I finish putting together
platform-
my home studio, then I'll be able to provide quality sound, so to speak.
I'm just curious if this Discord platform would support the like data that video would require.
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Let me contact my supervisor, and I will get back to you as soon as I can with an answer.
All right, I'll submit a survey.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, maybe we should be in the same room with a real camera. But, I mean, if it's good enough for gamers to do video calls, surely we can make it work. We've been trying out Google Hangouts as well.
And you guys should just go for a road trip up to Canada.
It's a quick jaunt.
Yeah, not that far
Well, they
away,
won't let
come
me. They might not let me cross the border.
No,
It's
you're
okay,
fine.
you can bring your weed, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got tons of
Is that
dispensaries.
true?
They might
They might not let you
confiscate my
back.
guns. They
Oh,
might
yeah.
confiscate my guns, so
For
Oh yeah,
sure.
don't bring your guns. That's a bad
Leave your guns
idea.
at home, but also Synapsian, they might not let you back in because you are a mule and you're coming from a legal cannabis country. So
Yeah, make sure you smoke it all while you're here. Don't bring any back with you.
That won't be a problem.
Consider it done.
yeah, we've got some pretty good edibles up here. I don't know. It's one of those things where once you get a taste, you may not even leave.
Yeah, dude.
Stuck up.
I mean,
Well,
the
if that's the
States
case,
are
then
overrated.
bring it on.
States are overrated.
there
Just move
a-
to Canada. You
And
got
our
a deal.
healthcare is free.
Yeah.
Is that even for like immigrants and stuff?
I don't know. Probably. I mean, Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Eh?
Eh?
A. That sounded so American. I've never heard the word A sound American, but now I have a reference point.
That's the Texas version.
A.
Hey, man.
Oh my God. It sounds so wrong coming out of your guys' mouth.
Oh, I take off, eh?
It's like it's a suffix more than a word on its own. A suffix and a
Yeah.
prefix.
Yeah, bud. You gotta have the Canadian goofy accent.
Well, it's like I haven't said A in like my normal talking in a while. I think grade 8 was the peak of A for my existence because A was just it was so convenient, and then it was like, wait, learn how to speak English, you freaking moron. Because A is used for everything. Like A is, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you ready? Are you not ready? Is she hot? Is she not hot? Is it good? Is it not good? Like it is so wide. Like
It's also sorry I didn't hear you there. Eh?
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 How are those fries, eh? Hey, there's something wrong with those fries.
Take back this poutine, eh?
It has mayonnaise on it.
How dark's the maple syrup, eh? Is that like an amber maple syrup, eh? Part of me died in that dialogue.
Yeah. Same.
Is there a
Is there what?
competition of who's got the best cannabis? The states or Canada?
I don't think that was ever something that was up for debate. I thought Canada had been winning for the past 50 years, but I could check.
Specifically, British Columbia
Yeah.
in the past has been like on top. That's where like most of the stuff from the States actually came from for a long time. But these days, California's growing tons of it, so.
All right, I gotta bail out, and I'll talk to you guys later. Okay.
All right.
Alrighty, thanks for joining.
May the force be with you.
Or equal to mass times acceleration. It's up to you.
So, anything else you guys have to say? Get off your chest?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
see you, Synapsian.
Wow.
Oh, there he's back. He's back.
There's this Financial Post report that says once America federally legalizes, Canadian producers of marijuana might as well be growing tomatoes.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Do you guys
like
have like the corporations growing this stuff up there? Is it still local farm?
so we're in this legal gray area, we like to refer to it as, because the government has taken over production, distribution, sale, and all that fun stuff of marijuana and doesn't know what they're doing. Right now, their ability to sell weed is equivalent to that of your dealer in grade 9 who was also in grade 9 with you and bought 1 gram of weed but would like to sell you half a gram of weed for $7. That's where the government's at. So we buy from the gray area, black market, online distributors. Those of us that smoke, I don't do anything illegally, so that's not me. And it's really crap. Like the government ran out of weed in the first hour of legal marijuana, and I don't think they've caught up yet.
Yeah. That's a really accurate way of putting it. The government
Thank you.
government just can't handle the supply for the demand.
But I have faith, because that guy that started selling weed very poorly in grade 9, he's made a name for himself in his community.
Yeah, these
He's
days,
well established.
These
And
days,
I
he's
think
selling shrooms and everything for you, bud.
he's got your acid, your MDMA, your fentanyl, and like if you need weed, he's got kilos of it now. And I have faith that the government will grow to that potential. Maybe not with the MDMA, maybe it will. But I think they'll figure it out in the next 5 to 10 years. And if America federalizes their distribution of cannabis, they don't even have to worry about it because you guys from California will just come and sell us weed.
Yeah, here in the States, it's kind of weird. It feels like the corporations are really gearing up, like the tobacco manufacturers, to get in the game.
See, that's what I would have hoped would happen in Canada, but all Canada's done. I don't know if you know about how bad our tobacco prices are, but right now it's about 12 American dollars for a pack of smokes.
It's
And
about twice
Yeah.
up here.
yeah, exactly. Like it's $6 for a pack of smokes of like Camels in the States. And that was just that was a blessing when I went to a festival in the States. It was like, wait, I only have to spend how much on smokes? But up here, it's like tobacco and smoke-free Ontario. It's just like I saw an advertisement to abolish the sales of tobacco by 2035. And it's just so fucked up. There's no other word for it, that people are trying to take away people's rights and say that we should just collapse billion-dollar industries because some people don't like the smell of smoke, while idling cars produce 1,000 times more dangerous chemicals in the air than a smoker will in a year. Like right now, you cannot smoke cigarettes on any college or high school campus out there. Like if you're in college in Ontario right now and you have a smoking habit, you have to walk 3 kilometers from your classroom on your 10-minute break to have a smoke.
Yeah, a lot of that is our.
Oh, you get your exercise in.
Yeah, a lot of that is our liberal government just putting more and more restrictions on it, thinking, hey, this will convince people to quit smoking and live healthier lifestyles. But no, you're just forcing people to live by your own ideology.
Well,
A
it's just
tax
this
will
huge.
fix it. Carbon tax will fix it. Nicotine tax will fix it.
I can't believe we had a carbon tax for the longest time. We still do to some varying degree. It's just absurd. We're so backward. And it's socialist the more you think about it, because they're raking away people's money. And it's not from the rich. It's just from everybody and anybody who's not smart enough to, I don't know, play the shell game. But it's getting pretty bad.
Yeah, we need to get Ragnar Danisgold up here to save us from this mess.
Man, you don't even know. You need to read the next 2 chapters of Atlas Shrugged and like do it tonight and call me.
All right, I'll try.
Is there a book next up on the list after Atlas Shrugged?
I think we're going to crack into as our primary read. Correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but I think we're doing Dante's Divine Comedy.
Yeah, Divine Comedy is the next one that we're doing when we finish either Crime and Punishment or Atlas Shrugged, whichever one comes first.
What I was thinking is like we should have the primary read and the secondary read, unless Pat's joining us on Dante's Divine Comedy. But like I was thinking after Crime and Punishment, we could do The Alchemist.
Yeah, I picked up a copy of The Alchemist too, so I'm ready for that.
So those are the next 2: The Alchemist and Dante's Inferno, Paradiso, and Purgatorio.
Oh man, I missed on Crime and Punishment. I've read the book, but I missed.
Well, we're still doing
Discussion.
the series.
Yeah, join in. We're doing part 3 next week.
Oh, cool.
And
Yeah,
if you've
well-
already read the book, I'm sure that like I said on the first recording, it's one of those books where if you already know that it's a bad idea to murder people, you can probably bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, I hear Akira's getting his podcast back up on the air on Saturday.
Is he?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him to go on Duncan Trussell podcast.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
Timberton's live to
So do you talk with Akira directly?
kind of through chats.
Yeah.
But you're one of his Discord moderators, so you must be pretty
Yeah,
connected.
I've kind of been MIA there for a bit, but yeah, I can get a hold of him.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Just out walking. We have this huge, ginormous black spider just outside my window. One thing I'm working on is like getting over my
Phobia of spiders, eh?
Huh.
yeah. I found
You-
a scorpion in my room the other.
If you got 40 disposable dollars, just Google a local hypnotherapist and get them to get rid of your spider phobia in 15 minutes, man.
Or you can pay Will a bit extra and he'll fly down there for you.
Well, I mean, we could probably do it over Discord if you sit down with a good connection. Like, it's a real easy script to get rid of a phobia, especially one like spiders.
Really? Because it's like it's insects with long legs. That's my.
Yeah, I get that, but like, I don't know. It just puts it in like it's not a conscious reaction. It's a pre-conscious reaction to the spider, and it's so easy to get rid of that with hypnotherapy. Like, it's baffling. It's baffling.
Okay, I thought you were joking at first, but it sounds like you're serious.
Yeah, I'm a board certified hypnotherapist, so this is my wheelhouse.
Whoa. They certify that like that's a board?
No, it's an international. What is it? 86 countries.
Oh.
Is it just like exposure therapy or?
No, it's just all holographic, imaginative, simulated, dissociated tools. Like, I don't throw spiders at people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a completely irrational phobia.
That is the definition.
Yep.
If it was rational, it wouldn't be a phobia.
There's no reason to be afraid of it. Nature is like, it's both beautiful, but also incredibly creepy.
Like, I got rid of my spider phobia a few years ago, but I still have my limits. If I was ever confronted with a camel spider, I think I would probably poop myself.
If there's a tarantula walking across my leg, I'm not going to be very comfortable with that.
Yeah, but like, for good reason. It could kill you.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to sign off now, guys. I'm really glad you joined today's Snapchat. I hope to see more of you.
Yeah.
But I am so hot up here and we have no AC. I need to get another drink and change.
All right, man. Enjoy that modern and we call ice.
We've been going for about an hour and a half now, so that's a good stopping point.
Sure
I'm
thing.
glad I looked at my clock too late.
Yeah.
No, that was great. Alrighty,
All
until
right.
next time.
Yeah. See you later, lads and ladies. May the force be with you.
Or equal to mass times acceleration.